I'll try to explain that scenario to you, right? What it led to.
Okay.
And no matter who I dated or I didn't date, right? So what I'm trying to say is the story came to this. I just said, when you're 40 years old, whatever, whatever, you should know better than cheat, right? And then she's like,
Right.
oh, you can still make a mistake at 40 years old. I said, that's not a mistake. When you cheat, you plan to cheat. That's intentional. You know what I'm saying? That's not a bad choice. You only a bad choice when you get caught doing it. You dig what I'm saying? That's what makes it a
So
bad
what does age
choice.
have
No,
to
Because
no,
you
do?
didn't
that is so true though.
But
Like
what does
cheating
age
is
have to
not a
do with
mistake,
hold on,
it?
it's
hold
a
on, let me
choice.
finish. Let me
Uh-huh.
finish. Let me finish. And it's not a
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
choice for anything on earth. For anything on earth. Still in the car, still in the truck, whatever. It's not a bad choice until you get caught. Because you enjoy doing it. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
you can't
Nothing's
also you
ever
can't
wrong
call it a
until you
bad
get
choice.
caught.
That's something intentional. That's an intentional you was doing, cheating, whatever. I said that she was like then she said and then she said when a woman know her self worth, she could lose her self worth and just like, cheat, go cheat. I said no. When you know your self worth, you will leave that man before you go cheat on that man. You do what I'm saying? You're not gonna say, I know my self worth and be a cheater. You're not gonna have sex with another man saying you telling me
That's
you know your self worth.
But that's subjective too
Hold on, let
that
me
is
let her
because
explain it.
subjective.
it
Let me
okay.
let me explain. Let her explain it. Let her explain it. Let her explain it. Go ahead,
But
Okay.
it,
Immaculate.
No,
All
no, I
right.
gotta hear
So
this. I want to hear. I gotta
yes,
hear it, and then
yes.
try
So
to explain
listen,
this.
it does
Please.
matter that he was dating this woman because that was the reason why we would have the conversation, right? And we were just talking about like why would a woman, step out of her relationship, to cheat, like, and if everything is fine, and we're here like trivia trying to understand like why, I'm like maybe she just didn't have a connection with him, right? And we agreed,
I
right?
agree
And
with
things
that.
like
Yeah,
that.
I
And I
agree with
said,
that.
right, right. And
Okay.
then, I said, when a woman knows her self-worth, she doesn't, like she doesn't cheat because she knows who she is, she doesn't do that, right? And he said, you're
Okay.
right. But then he mentioned a woman in her 40s shouldn't be making any mistakes like that. And I said, well, I disagree because, being that I'm in my 40s, like I'm 40
Mm-hmm.
now, I'm not saying I'm gonna make a cheating mistake, but I said like I could still see how a woman could lose her worth, like lose the knowledge of who she is, and then might step out of her relationship. Like it could still
Okay.
happen. Like just because you're
I'm a.
40 doesn't mean that you don't make like I said, and I worded it wrong, those kind of mistakes. So we kind of
Okay.
got lost in the word mistake because cheating is not a
Okay.
mistake.
But then
So
I
It's a
so
said,
to
choice.
back. Okay. So wait. Let me put my 2 cents, Pablo. Let me put my 2 cents. If you backtrack on both parts, okay,
Hmm.
because one thing has nothing to do with the other, and neither does the other. Age ain't got shit.
Right.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
I agree.
Yeah, I feel like stopping to rest, but I don't want to rest. I want to keep going. I'm tired of fuck.
No, you should use the bathroom at least. Maybe that'll refresh you.
Yeah, I'm about to pull over in peace somewhere. I gotta pee. Because I don't want to go out the highway. Because if I go out the highway, it's gonna take mad too long to get back on the highway.
no, no, you had just go ahead.
Leah, before
Yeah,
you
right here.
before you start, right? Let me just
That
conclude
wasn't
really
me. That was
That was
quickly.
my
me. That was
that
me.
was my aunt.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't
Let me
her.
just
That was my
conclude
opinion. That was my
really
opinion.
quickly. So basically, oh no, you were in the blinds the whole time.
Yeah, she didn't know she locked the phone. She had locked it by accident.
Oh, okay. Okay, so um
What was the lesson?
basically, okay, so the word mistake, yes, cheating is not a mistake, it's a choice.
Oh,
Thank you
And
for
but it
more.
is a bad choice. That's what I was saying. And what I was trying to get to was that, there is a time when a woman feels, empowered and she feels like she's worthy, right? And there is also a time when a woman can lose that sense of worthiness and empowerment and feel low again, and she might
Oh fuck,
then
this pee feels so good.
make the bad choices of stepping out and looking for whatever it is that she's seeking elsewhere. Whatever the
Hmm.
case is, me not saying that it's
let's do
okay,
some
I'm not
worse.
saying that it's
Yeah,
okay,
I'm peeing
I'm
like I just
just
woke up. The
trying to
fuck?
reason,
Well,
right?
she.
And
Hmm.
that's where we kind of got lost with each other because he's basically saying if you know your worth, you don't ever lose sense of that. It's a feeling that forever
It's
stays.
irrelevant.
And I
That's a
disagree.
fact. No, that's a fact.
Well,
Hold on.
well,
Either way, because that's still opinion. Self worth has nothing to do with the cheating, because that's a general
There's
statement.
a what?
Not
How there's an
every
opinion?
women can be
hold
just as
on,
much as
Am
a
Chica.
I breaking
dog
up
as a
or
man can
what?
be. Hold up. Hold. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Now,
Okay,
okay.
a woman can be just as much as a dog as a man can be. So what? It's not about self worth. If she feels like being a dog
We're
because
not
she gets
saying that.
happy out of it, she can be happy out of it. That has nothing to do with self worth.
Exactly. But I'm not saying that. But she's saying a
I'm
woman
not
that says
talking
she
to
know her
you,
worth.
Bobby. I'm not talking to you.
So
I'm talking to the
yeah,
female. I'm saying that it's
but
not
yeah.
about self worth.
Let
Again,
me
it's
ask
not
you a
about the
question. As an
age
Okay.
older
or
woman,
self
right?
worth.
Let me ask you as an older woman, right? You think you know your self worth, right? You know your self worth, right? As an older woman.
Who?
Hello,
Yeah.
hello.
Yes, I know
Okay,
my
you know
self
your
worth.
self worth, as an other woman. Okay, you know your self worth. Will you? Can you
Yeah.
ever say that you lost, or how can you say that shit? That you lost a sense of your self worth, or no? You know your self worth forever because
Of,
you already know yourself.
okay, listen. Okay, again, you're going too far, Bobby. Let me finish talking before you ask me a question. No, no, I'm
Well, it
not
wasn't
trying
a
to be a
question
bitch.
you
I'm
can
sorry.
answer.
Let me
No,
rephrase that.
but that's a simple
Let me
question you can just
rephrase that.
answer.
Let me finish speaking before you ask me if I have my self worth and whether or not I can lose it.
Oh
Let me
shit.
finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
Like I said, a woman can be a dog just like a man. It ain't got nothing to do with self worth because a man can just be a dog. We're animalistic, right?
I
You see
said that.
something pretty, you want to fuck it. I see something sexy, I want to fuck it. It's animalistic. It ain't got nothing to do with self worth.
It
That's what
Ah,
I'm
does.
saying.
I just
You
say it was
understand?
animals earlier. Remember?
So if
It
I wanted
definitely
to be a
has to do
dog,
with self-awareness.
I could be a dog. It ain't got to do a man.
Let me see.
A man doesn't define your self worth, or a woman doesn't define your self worth.
Okay, I'm going to read what it says as the definition of self worth. Self worth is the belief in one's own inherent value and worthiness, separated from accomplishments or external validation. Right? So that's just how you
Mhm.
feel about yourself. It doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily have anything to do with anything outside of how you feel about yourself. So, can you be in a relationship and you feel less because of you allowing a man to validate you? Sure. Can that make you cheat? Sure. If that's just it's a choice you're making off of how you feel. It's self. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's all about how you feel about yourself. It's self-worth, just
You
like
oh
self-esteem.
you
Can't nobody take it
ex-
from you. Can't
but
nobody
you oh
make you
and
do
thank you. That's
anything.
what I said. Thank you. Thank you. Can nobody
Right.
take myself if I know my self worth?
For
Can no man,
yourself.
woman,
For
nobody on this earth
yourself.
can no hold on, let me
Right. So
finish.
just so
Hold
so
on,
For
let me mute. Let me
I
yourself.
was
mute.
No,
Somebody
talking,
gotta
you
yes.
mute.
just cut me off.
Wait.
There is nobody on this earth that can take the self worth you believe in yourself. If you let somebody take, you don't know your self worth then. You don't know what's up with yourself then. You're lost. You think you knew.
No, but
There's no way you know your
I
Why
self
do
worth.
never
you
said
why
that
do you
somebody
keep
took it. Wait, Cope,
why
I
do you
never
keep
said that
cutting
No,
me
somebody
she just
took
off?
said
your
that.
self-worth.
She just
No, I
said
said
that.
that
She
you
just
could
said,
lose.
yo, are you yelling for? She literally just said that. She just said, if a man make you feel less than and this and that, and that and this, and you go cheat, I know, then yes, whatever she said. She just said that out of her mouth. What are you talking about, Mackie Lemon? I never said you said anything. What the fuck is you talking about?
Yes, a man, and I
She
just
just
said
said
you
that.
could lose sight of your self-worth. Not that somebody took your self-worth from
Oh
you,
my God,
that you
Mackie
could.
Lemon. Again, I didn't say Max said that. Leah just said it. What the fuck? I didn't say Max said anything. Leah just said that. Why you keep making it about you? I just said Leah said it. I ain't say Max said anything. I said Leah just said a man can make you feel less than and you go and cheat. No, a man make you feel less than, you get the fuck out that relationship if you know your self worth.
Oh my God.
Well,
Okay,
it's
okay.
hold on. So th- if you know your self-worth is how you feel about yourself, and just like it's off of perspective, you feel like if a woman knows her self-worth, then she should just leave instead of cheating, right?
Mhm.
Right? That's what you said, right?
Yes, if
Right,
she
right. That's
believe in
what we're
herself,
agreeing
if that's
to.
it,
Yes,
if she
Right,
that's
believe
what
in
we're
right.
agreeing
herself,
to.
if she believe
But
in
why?
herself,
Right, right. But let's
I'm not
say,
saying it's wrong for a woman
let's
to cheat. I'm not saying it's wrong for a woman to cheat.
okay,
What I'm saying is, if a
okay.
woman's telling me, "Oh, I know my self worth, I know this, I
My
know that,"
worth, yes,
and
she
she
should
go and
leave.
cheat,
Yes.
you don't know your self worth. You don't know your
But
Right,
self
that's
right.
worth
okay. Wait,
because
hold
you
on.
implying that on me.
So,
You implying that on
but
me. You see what I'm saying?
it's all
No, the
subjective.
problem here
Hold
is
on,
that
hold
a
on.
woman can lose sight of her self-worth.
This is the thing, right? That's his opinion, right? Everybody just gotta
Mhm.
accept. You have to agree to disagree. If that's just how he feels about it, cool, no problem. He feel like if a woman cheats, then she don't have no self worth. A person
No,
could be in a
no.
relationship and be like, I am that. Hold
But if
on,
you
give me
telling
a
me,
second.
no, what I'm telling you, because I'm trying to
Give me
explain
a
what she's
second.
saying. You go somewhere else with it. I'm telling you,
Okay.
well, I'm telling you what she's saying. And she's telling me my self worth. If I know my self worth, she said my self worth is this. I'm not gonna cheat if I'm in a relationship. That's my self worth. I know my worth. I'm not gonna go out there and and
Right,
spend
correct. I
5 minutes
said
with a
that.
nigga and lose my whole relationship. That's my self. Well, I say when women think like that, right? When women think like that, there's no
Okay.
way you can lose that, no matter what a man is doing. Because that's what she explained to me. That's her self worth.
Uh,
Self worth could be anything.
And
My self
and
worth
I
is
do
I'm not gonna be able to
believe
marry.
that
I'm
women.
not,
yeah, yeah, you're talking to
I'm
her.
not,
So
wait,
just
let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
okay.
Your self worth could be like, I'm not gonna be with a man that don't got a job. I'm not gonna be with a man that doesn't have this amount of money in the bank account. I'm not gonna be the man
Okay.
that doesn't pay my bills. That's your self worth. But what she explained to me, her
Okay.
self worth is, I'm not gonna cheat. I'm not a cheater. I'm not gonna cheat. So then when she explained that, right? I'm like, yo, when a woman says that shit, right, to me, I'm gonna take her word for it. So if she go out and cheat, I'm gonna say she never knew her self worth. She never knew it because if you saying that's your
Because
self
she
worth,
said that
that
was one
I'm
of
a
her
woman,
standards,
I'm not
right?
gonna exactly,
Hold on,
exactly,
let me ask you a question. So,
exactly.
Papi, let me ask you a question. Right?
What happened?
What if this woman has self worth and the guy she's with is in love with her and caters her to the hand and foot and she cheats on me because she's fucking bored? He knows her self worth and she knows this guy's not gonna go
I got
anywhere.
that situation
Then
right
it's a
now,
mental
beautiful.
fuck. It's a
No, I
psychology
have
I
that
thing.
mentioned that
situation.
as well.
Yo,
I mentioned
that's
that
what I
as
got.
well.
Yo, yes,
Exactly,
I got that
exactly.
problem
Men do
now.
it, women can
Oh,
do it.
not
Whatever a
now.
man can
No,
do, women
wait.
can do.
That's
So
not what I'm
why?
talking
But why
about,
do you
bro.
automatic, Papi? Can I speak to? Why do you
No,
automatically assume a
because
woman's self worth is based on a man's acceptance? Why do you automatically assume a
no.
woman's
What
self
are you
worth is?
talking about? No, what are you talking about? No. She told me her self worth. She explained to me herself. I'm not assuming nothing, nigga. She's telling me what her self worth is. So when I said, when a woman like that say me, tell me that's her self worth, she's going back on her word. That's contradicting herself. So that means she didn't know her self worth. You're not understanding what I'm saying. Leah just understood what I said. And so Leah explained it to her. Because I literally just explained it. I'm not going to do it again. She told me that's her self worth. I'm not a woman that's at this age. I don't cheat when I'm in a relationship. That's my self worth. Because I feel like that's degrading myself. So if you go and cheat, that what I'm saying is, if you go and cheat as a woman saying that, that means you didn't know your self worth.
And
That's
his
what I'm
point,
saying.
and
Right.
his
And
point.
to
Because
me,
self worth could be
and,
anything.
and what I said was that, let's just say, right? I said, okay, I feel worthy. I'm not going to cheat, right? But somewhere along the line, along the years, I lost a sense of my self-worth. And this is not making me as an example for myself because I don't cheat.
Any women
I'm
that
just
say that,
making
any
an
women that say that,
example, right? Then
any women that say that, yes,
that's where that is what we're debating. The fact that a woman
yes.
can feel empowered at some point in her life and feel very worthy, and one day lose it and not feel worthy at all. It can
What I'm saying is,
happen.
but what I'm saying is, no matter what, right? If you don't feel worthy at all, right? You don't feel worthy at all. But you saying you're so worthy that you're not a cheating woman. Your job is to be like, look, it's not working, it's over with. I don't want to go see other people. If you go and cheat on that
Right,
man
right. I
and still
agree.
and then no, but that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Okay, you lost yourself. Okay, you lost yourself. That don't mean to degrade yourself as the woman you say you is. That's what I'm telling you. You cannot lose that. You cannot lose that. Your job is to not lose that. Understand what I'm saying? If you go cheat, that means you didn't know your worth that you say you knew. Because you're the one that told me my soul worth is I'm not a cheater. Right or wrong?
But that's what I'm saying. A woman that felt very worthy can lose her self-worth at
What?
some
Yeah,
point.
but you like a definition, right? The definition you gave me of a woman's soul worth. I'm not saying you. If a woman
No, no,
tells me
no.
my soul worth,
Uh-huh.
but look, if a woman tells me my self worth is I'm not a cheater, I'm a grown ass woman, I
No,
do
no,
this, I do
that
that.
that cannot that
I'm
can't
gonna
be
take
the
wait, let
only
me finish.
self-worth of a woman.
No. Oh my gosh. God damn it, Mackie Levin. You told me out your mouth that's your self worth, that you're not a cheater.
No,
I
no,
just put
not
it as
that.
other
That's not.
women.
No, no, no. Hold up, Cope. I said I'm not a cheater.
I'm just putting it as other women. I'm not trying to put you involved. You keep involving yourself. If one of the women tells me the same thing you told me, if Leah come in here and tell me the same thing you told me. I know my self worth. I'm not a cheater. I'm not this. I'm not that. Right? Like whatever definition she gave, because self worth can be anything. Like I just said, self worth could be I'm not gonna be a broke nigga. Self worth gonna be I'm not gonna settle for nothing less than a doctor. Self worth could be anything, right? So what I'm saying is, even if you lose yourself as a woman or a man, it's not even one man or women, a woman or a man. If I'm telling you that's my standards, right? When I'm with a woman, say better put me as an example. I was with Mackie Levin, you be like, "What's your self worth, Cole?" If I'm in a relationship, I'm not gonna cheat. I know my self worth. I know what I want in life. I want to be my woman. Now, if I go back in my word and go cheat, that means I really didn't know my self worth. I didn't lose myself. No, I just didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know my self worth. I didn't know. Point blank,
That's not
period.
how that went. That's not how that went. All I said was, no, I don't cheat. I know my
Oh my,
self-worth.
yo,
I
see,
don't need
yo,
to
y'all see
cheat.
what I'm
But
saying,
but
guys? I'm
Cope,
just saying the
let me
definition,
finish.
guys,
Cope, no,
because I'm
wait.
just
You're
saying the
not letting me
definition.
finish. That's not
No,
okay.
no, because the definition, yo, Mackie Levin, I'm just using that example, the definition you gave me on myself, and you still talk about yourself. I'm saying self worth. The self worth definition, I just literally just put it on myself. And I say, if I go back on my words, after I say that's my self worth, that means I really didn't know my self worth. That's all I'm saying. You can lose yourself, you can do anything, but you're still worthy of yourself and the word you gave to a person.
Cope. But right now you were basically saying that that
Charlie,
is
what up,
the
Charlie?
only. There's so many ways to
No,
give yourself worthiness. Like that is
yo,
not the only way I
get on
deem
mute, yo,
myself
get on
worthy.
mute, yo, get on mute, Leah, Leah, get on mute real quick, Leah.
Okay, I'm here.
Leah, how many times I just explained that self worth can mean anything? How many times I just explained that shit?
I and I don't understand why you keep on repeating yourself because all I'm saying
Because
is
you keep
you
going back.
basically you
You
just
keep going
said
back.
no, Cope, you
Okay,
I'm
just
going off
so
your
literally said
definition.
that
I'm going
that
off
was
your
my
definition.
definition of self-worth, and it's not the only definition for my self-worth. You're putting it as if that is the
No,
only way that I deem myself worthy is to be a woman that doesn't cheat. Impossible. I have other reasons why I think I'm worthy.
I didn't say that. But that's one of the words you put though. So I'm using that
Yes,
one.
that is one of them. Yes.
Yes or no? Exactly. And exactly. And that's why I use that one as an example. That's why I use that one as an example. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. You can't say you use it as a definition. I'm not saying you're not worthy of other things, Mikey Lemon. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying you use that as an example yourself. You said, my self worth, I wouldn't cheat. I wouldn't cheat on my man because that's wrong. That's what you said, right? But if you go back in your word and do cheat, I'm not saying you are, and do cheat, I'm telling you, that's why I don't think you knew your self worth if you did cheat. Because you could have just left that nigga. Now you understand what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying or no?
Uh-huh.
Or you still don't
Yes,
understand?
I understand. No, I
Okay.
understand.
And you could lose yourself. You could do. He could degrade you. He could beat you. He could do all that. But it's your job to leave and not disrespect your temple, not disrespect your body, because that's your self worth.
Right, but
but
women do lose that. It does get lost somewhere. It's and I've seen it happen to other women, is
So I'm
what
trying
I'm
to
saying.
explain to
So
you. Okay, people think they know their self worth. You can think all you want. You can think you know your self worth all you want, right? But if you go out and betray your own word, your own body, that means you really didn't know your self worth. I'm trying to explain to you. You didn't
okay,
know
I
it.
can
so
agree to
okay,
that.
okay, okay, yeah, because I get what he's saying. Like the standard that you set for yourself when you go beyond, well, you like devalue yourself up under that, then okay, you're losing yourself. Well, it's whatever you set for yourself. If you go against the grain,
Right.
then yeah. So if I say I'm
Thank
a
you.
cheater,
That's
I
what I'm
don't accept
saying.
these niggas that don't work. I don't do this. I don't do that. Okay, cool. As long as I stand on that, then that's the worth that I have for myself. You know what I'm saying? But
Thank
if
you.
I
That's what
do
I'm
go to a
saying.
man and I be like, oh, I don't cheat. I'm this and I'm that and I'm this and I'm that and I go against the grain of all of that, then I don't know my self worth.
Your
You
self
know, I'm just
worth.
kind
Thank you.
of playing the
That's all
field.
I'm saying.
Bullshit. Yeah,
I'm not saying it's wrong
yeah.
for a woman to cheat. I'm not saying it's wrong for a woman to cheat. I'm not saying it's wrong for a woman not to cheat. Whatever. What I'm saying is, don't explain this to me. Don't say this is your self worth and you go back in your word because then I'm gonna tell you you don't know your self worth. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
It
yeah,
could be anything.
that's
And
true.
I wasn't going back on my word. We're talking about a woman, you know? We are
Yes, that's what I'm
actually
saying.
talking about a woman.
I know what we talk about. But if a woman, that's why I said, that's why I put myself in a predicament and took you the fuck out because you can make it about you. If a woman tells somebody, anybody, any woman in this world tells me this is my self worth, this is my standard, and she go back on it, even if she loses herself, she didn't know her self worth. She thought she knew it. She didn't know it. She thought she
Well,
did.
okay, but that's not how we were. That's not what we were saying before, because you that's not
No, I was
what we
explaining
were
to you
going
self
back.
worth, beautiful. I was explaining to you self worth. No, you kept going. Just like right now, I explained it 20 different ways, and you kept going your way. I'm trying to keep explaining to you what I'm saying, and you keep going in your way. You understand what you want to
No,
understand.
you were
I'm
saying
telling you
that.
what I'm
No,
telling
you.
you.
So basically, you're saying that if a woman says this is my self worth, that she
Uh
can
huh.
never lose
Uh huh.
that. She can never lose that. That could never happen. It's
No,
you.
no, she's not supposed to. You know why? Because that means you didn't know your self worth, and you lose that. If you lose that, that means you really didn't know your self worth because that's something you promised it to yourself. You're not promising it to me. You're not promising it to God. You promised it to yourself. This is my self worth right here. I don't cheat. I'm not a cheater. When you go cheat, that means you didn't know your self worth.
I don't. Okay, okay. I guess. I guess. You know.
What are
Okay,
y'all
so
talking about?
can I say something right quick? So
Right.
Yes.
Cope,
Who
I
I
don't
am
agree
and
with
what I
that.
am.
That's one thing I don't agree about,
What
right?
up,
So
bro?
I could be at a time in life where I have high self-esteem, right? Like great self-esteem. Something happens in my life, I go through some trials and tribulations and then it get low for me. You know what I'm saying? I could go through a certain point in time in my life where I'm high, my standards are high and this and that, and then I go through something and now it's low. You know, now I went against the grain just because of something that I may be going through in my life. It doesn't mean that I didn't know it at that time because I did because I was acting on it. But then one day it changed, you know, and that's cool. And then I may need to just
Well,
get back
well,
again.
well,
You know what I'm
well,
saying?
well,
I
but
feel
I'm
like
not talking
things
about.
can
I'm
change,
not talking
but then
about. See, but I'm not talking about.
hold
But
on,
no, no, I'm not talking
on,
about because
No,
hold
you
let her
keep
on.
going
I
another
finish.
don't
way.
mean
Let
that
her
I didn't listen
finish.
to you, Cope. Like,
You're
don't do
going
Let
that.
her
another way.
finish.
Let her finish,
Just I'm
bro.
talking about the cheating, the cheating. Stick to the cheating,
No.
man.
No, I'm
Stick to the cheating,
not.
No,
Leah.
no,
Stick to the
because
cheating,
that's the
Leah.
only
No,
way
I'm
that it
talking about
sounds
what
good
you
for
were just
you.
talking about right now.
But
She's
stick to
agreeing with you,
no,
but
but
listen a little
I'm
bit
talking
more.
about cheating. I'm talking about cheating, bro. I'm talking about cheating. You
Okay,
talk as a woman.
Bro,
Tell me when you're in a
your
relationship
turn.
as a cheater,
Your turn.
you're going against yourself. You talking about you talking about highs and lows in life. Everybody go through highs and lows in life, thinking they know what they want, thinking they know what they need,
oh my
and they change
God.
careers. We know that.
You
But I'm
listen,
talking about a cheating
Coach.
relationship. I'm talking about a
Talk like
cheater in a
Chris.
relationship. I'm talking about a
I
cheater in a relationship.
understand that. I
You go
understand
somewhere
that.
else with it.
Let's
Don't
say,
go nowhere else. Stay on topic. Stay on
bro,
topic then.
stop telling
I'm
me
trying to
where
stay
the
on
fuck I'm
topic.
going and I'm talking, period.
No,
Stop
stay on
doing that. You want
topic.
somebody to sit and listen to you, bro. I am on
No, you gotta
topic.
stay on topic. No, you gonna
No,
do this
real
other
Cole,
talk, man.
shit.
I'm done.
don't be
That's all
so
I like to say,
That's
Coach.
hard-headed.
what I appreciate.
I think that you just want to be combative. It's not necessary. Yo, you trolling
Yeah,
us.
what's good? Yeah.
What are y'all talking about? Women
Oh,
cheating?
girl, no,
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 no, no,
no,
no.
no. We're
No.
done. We're done here.
I'm explaining it to you again. I'm explaining it to you again.
But this
Right, Em?
time, I'm not gonna
Right,
defend
Em?
anything.
I
You're
am.
just
Listen,
gonna get
Em.
Cope's
Listen, Em.
side, whatever.
Em. Listen, Em. Right, listen, Em. Let's say you come to me, right, Em? Let's say you come to
Mm-hmm.
me, right? Or matter of fact, let's put me. I'll put me myself. Let's say I come to you and be like, yo, Em. I worthy myself. I know what the fuck I want in life. I know my self worth, right? We're not talking about no jobs. We're not talking about ups and downs in life. We're not talking about none of that shit. We are talking about
Right?
self worth. What I'm telling you in my relationship. I'm gonna tell you I'm not a cheater, right? I'm not a cheater. I don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I'm promising myself, not you, myself. I'm explaining to myself. No matter what I go through in life, me and you get together, right? Boom. We argue, we
Mm-hmm.
fight, this and that, right? If I go cheat on you, right, and I go cheat on you,
Hi,
and I go back on my
boo.
word. If I go back on my word, what you gonna tell me? Cole, you lie. You didn't know your self worth. Yes or no?
Right. That's a
So
fact.
now, what we
Right.
go through, no matter what I go through, up, down, left, right, I didn't know my self worth because I went on back on my word that I promised myself. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm saying is this. I didn't know
But we
myself
didn't
worth. I
use it
put
in
me
that
as an example.
context.
No. Oh my God. Yo, any you that self worth in a relationship, you're not a cheater, you're not this, you're not that, and you go back on it, you didn't know your self worth. No matter how you try to put it, Mac 11, no matter how you try to put it.
Absolutely.
I feel like
If I
and
give you
this is
my
what
word
I
and I
Once,
tell you I'm never gonna cheat on you, I'm gonna be the best bitch you ever had. I'm living up to expectations that I know I cannot meet, and then I fuck up, I do not know my self worth. That means that I'm
thank you.
here looking for something more than what I can offer.
right, because like I said, that means that somewhere along
Thank
the
you.
line she lost her self-worth. And this is
If you lose
where we
yourself,
at.
no, you can
Can a
never lose it
woman
though.
can a woman lose
No,
her self-worth somewhere in between the lines? Cope says
no,
no.
no,
And yes,
no,
but why you
A
think
woman
people cheat?
can listen.
no.
Yeah,
A
why you
woman
think people
can
cheat,
lose
Cope?
herself.
People enter relationships with the
Let me ask
highest
you a
hopes,
question.
like
You know how
that
to ride
they're
a bike?
gonna
You know how to ride a
follow
bike? You know
through.
how to ride a bike, Mike 11? You know how to ride a bike, Mike 11? You
Yes,
know how
I
to ride a
know how to
bike?
ride a bike.
Okay, let's say you
Yes,
know how to ride a bike, right? Let's say 50 years later, you think you're gonna get on that bike and forget how to ride that bike?
No.
yes, of course.
You're
You're gonna
gonna
know how
Yes,
to.
of
still
course
Yeah,
learn.
you
what?
always
No,
know.
you're gonna still learn how to ride that bike.
Hey, you're still gonna know how to ride that bike, right or wrong, right?
Right, you
Just like my
know.
self
Yeah,
worth.
something that you always
Exactly, you
know.
know. Exactly, that's something you always know. Me as a man, like I explained to you, I don't know my self worth because I don't know what I want. But once I tell somebody I know my self worth, I want this, that, and the third, and I go back on my word. Even if I thought I knew my self worth, that means I didn't know my self worth. And I'm not using
Not
none of
Absolutely.
that
y'all
they lost
example.
it.
I'm not using none of
Not
y'all
that they
example.
lost it.
Not that I lost it. I can't lose. I can't lose something that I already know in my
Okay,
heart that I got. I thought I had it.
right.
That's
So
what I'm trying to tell you. It's something you
right.
think you
Oh,
have
so this
is
is where
different
we were
between
at, right?
something you positive you have.
Right. So here was where the debate was, right? The debate is right here in this little precise thing. Like I've seen a lot of couples, right, rise up and like, get businesses together and everything's going good and they seem very worthy and they seem like a tight-knit family, highly worthy. And when they lose it all, and it looks like they're losing their worth, they also lose their worth as a person and they start doing other random things, whether it's cheating or stealing or whatever the case is. They lost their worth, they lost their sense of worth. And this is what I'm explaining to Cole. And of course it's wrong. I agree, because that's why I don't cheat in my relationship, right? Because I'm good on that part. But where I see people fail is sometimes that they lost their sense of worth. And I've seen it
See,
happen.
look,
I've seen
look.
people
That's
lose
why I
their
said.
sense of worth.
All right, but this is why I said, Mikey 11. This is why I said I don't want to talk about jobs. I don't talk about businesses. None of that shit, right? Because no matter how you could have been a millionaire, right? Let's say me and you together, Mikey 11, right? And I tell you, baby, I
Right.
will never cheat on you. I know my self worth. We could have been trillionaires, fucking millionaires, trillionaires. And let's say we lose it all. We lose it all. That has nothing to do with my self worth. Baby, I will never cheat on you. That's still my self worth. That's something I can control. I can't control losing money. I can't control man not having a business anymore. I can't control that. That's life. Understand what I'm saying? But I still can control my self worth, my dignity, what I
Right.
promised you and myself.
Right. And I
So
agree.
that means
And I
if I go
agree.
back on my word, if
But
I
I've
go back
seen
on my
people
word,
lose
if
it.
I go back on my word, I didn't know my self worth. I didn't know my self worth. No, when you can't lose it's something that you know you have.
So those
You
people
thought,
never knew their self-worth
you
then.
thought, no, they never knew it.
They seemed
They
like they
thought they
didn't
knew it.
know
That's what I
their
keep trying to tell you.
self-worth.
They thought they knew it. They thought they knew it. Just like, all right, let's say we're going on teenagers. How many of us as teenagers thought we knew it all?
I mean, we
How many
still
of
think
us?
we know it all. We still think we know it all, and our parents
Exactly.
still know
No,
more
no, but
than
as
us.
teenagers. No, but I feel like, no, let's
Of
put it like
course.
this. How many times you warn your daughter, baby, don't do this. I've been through that. This is going to happen, X, Y, and Z. And she's like, no, it's not, no, it's not.
Hmm.
And it happens. How many times they went through that? We went through that. How many went
I
through that?
mean, it has happened. Yes, it has happened.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to tell you is, we think. It's not that we know. We think we know our self worth, or we think we know what the outcome going to be. But if you could go back, right? If you telling
Absolutely.
me something you promised yourself, Mackie Lemons, not me, something you promised yourself, you can go back on that. That means you didn't really know. That means you thought you knew. Is that what I'm saying? You
I
thought
Hmm.
you knew.
agree.
In your head, you thought you knew. You can't
You
lose
thought
something
you knew
that
what you
you know
was
for a fact.
worth, and you tried to do
Right,
Exactly.
something, but you
right. You
go ahead
thought you
and fuck it
knew.
up. Then you really realize that, what you worth, you're not really realizing what you're really worth. You're just sacrificing what you think or the thought of the person that you want or you're trying to be
To
pretty much.
yourself. To yourself.
Uh-huh,
Fuck the
uh-huh.
other
Yes,
person. To yourself.
absolutely.
It's to yourself.
Yes.
Fuck the other person. It's to
Right.
let's say like you say, let's say right now, something you can't lose, right? Let's say, all
Uh-huh.
right, this is my worth. My worth is to always love my fucking daughter and to always be there for her no matter what. Let's say y'all was
Right.
millionaires, right? Let's say y'all was millionaires,
Mhm.
right? You and your daughter was millionaires. Y'all lost everything. Just because you lost everything, you're gonna go back on your worth is not being there for your daughter? Yes or no?
No. No.
Exactly, because you know your worth there. You know your worth.
Right,
You're
right.
not gonna stop being there
And
for your
yet we've
daughter.
seen and yet we've seen parents like fail their children all the time. But this is what I'm saying. I get
No,
it.
no,
I
no, no, no.
get
What
it.
I'm
Listen,
saying
I
is, but you
agree.
know, I ain't asking about that. I'm dumb. See, you going over here. I'm asking about you now. I'm trying to make it about you now. I'm not asking about the
Okay,
parents
okay,
that
yeah,
saw
no,
their
yeah,
kids.
no,
That happens all
definitely
the
no.
time. That happens
You're
all
right,
the
no,
time.
no.
Exactly. No matter how poor you get,
But
no matter how poor you get, no matter how rich you are, you're gonna be the same with your daughter. Yes or no? You're gonna love her the same.
yes,
You're gonna care
yep.
about her the same,
Hmm.
and you're gonna take care of her the same, and you're gonna protect her the same
Right.
way because that's your
Yes,
worth for your daughter.
right.
You're
If
not gonna
that's
go
what
back
it
on your
is,
worth for
then
your
yeah,
daughter.
that's
That's what I'm trying to explain to you because that's something. Because that's something you know for sure, Mac 11. That's something you know for sure. But if you don't know for sure that you're never gonna cheat again, don't say that's your worth. Oh, my worth is I'm never
right.
gonna cheat. If you think
Right.
you're
No,
gonna
I
cheat in the future,
agree.
you
I
can't say that
agree.
I know
Listen,
your worth.
I'm
Your worth.
talking to a woman that when as soon as I turned into a teenager, I got with my baby father and I stood with him for 13 years. And when I broke up